What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to talk about why I believe NIO is going to make a great comeback very soon. Now I know that sounds like crazy, but I'm going to show you some indicators that suggest NIO is about to gap up perhaps in the next, I would say, week or two, and why I'm still pretty bullish for NIO going forward. I'm also going to break down this whole, delisting rumor that's coming out for NIO and actually talk about why it's not as it seems, why there's lots of misleading information, and why I believe NIO is going to power through this. I'm also going to talk about what's going on with the Bank of England, worker output data, as all these things have affected the market, and also what Cathie Wood, the Queen, said about the markets that's very important for NIO going forward. Now, before I break this down though, before I get into any more details about NIO and why I'm not losing faith in this company, I do have to mention a couple of things real quick. The first thing is I'm not a financial planner, so please don't take this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull with the link down below and deposit any amount of money into the account, whether it's $1 or $100, it's up to you. You are guaranteed 5 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000, and you could always sell these 5 free stocks for cash and use that cash to buy some NIO shares for free. Now, this is a limited time offer, so please check it out, as you have only 5 or 6 days left until the offer ends. So please check it out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So anyways, looking at NIO, this thing got hammered today. Now, the market was very, very red. Looking at the SPY, down at 3.55% for the day. I think Tesla was down like over 8%. But looking at NIO, this thing was down over 15% in one day. Now, NIO could have been down maybe 5%, maybe up to 10%, but we went as low as 15%, which is insane because of this whole delisting thing that was going on. But I'm going to actually explain what's going on with the SEC's list and how this works, and also why I think NIO is going to make a comeback relatively soon, as crazy as that may sound. Now, before I talk about that, let's actually go on with this. So NIO, XBong, and 86 other companies, especially many Chinese companies, they were added to the SEC's list of firms facing possible delistings. Now, that's a headline. Headlines don't give you the full context, because when you go down here, it states right here, what's essentially happening is the SEC's list was updated. It added 88 companies to it. That doesn't mean they are going to be delisted. It does not mean that, okay? This is what this means. It means that the 88 companies, the sixth batch to be added to the list, have until May 25th to provide evidence to the SEC that they do not qualify for delisting. If they are unable to do so, they will be placed on a conclusive list. Companies that are placed on the conclusive list will be required to file the SEC's required documents within 3 years, and if they fail to do so, they will be delisted in early 2024 following the disclosure. So NIO is a very transparent company. They're working with great auditors, and I believe they're going to power through this, as they do want to expand across the globe. And I do believe that they're going to somehow find a way out of this. They're going to require the proper paperwork, and they're not going to get delisted, in my opinion. I think that's very unlikely, because NIO is a very transparent company, like I said, and they're going global. So I know them. I know they're going to make a comeback from this. And even if it's the worst possibility, even if they somehow do get delisted, right? It's a possibility, right? At the end of the day, they'd still be, in the US exchanges until 2024. So it still is plenty of time. It's not the end of the world, so to speak. But like I said before, I see that as something that's very unlikely. It's not a guaranteed delisting or anything like that. So keep that in the back of your mind. Be prepared for anything, but just know that nothing is confirmed just yet. And also remember, there is some risk in investing in companies like NIO or XBong, because they are, based in China. They are from China. There is obviously some threats, or should I say, tensions between the countries of China and the USA. There is some risk, but it's not the end of the world, because NIO is on the Hong Kong exchange. NIO is a great company. They are keeping politics aside, and they are doing whatever they can to improve every single day. They have amazing fundamentals, so I still believe in this company. I've talked plenty about that, but we need to talk about the market, right? Why did the market take a big hit, and do I see the market recovering? We can see the SPY was down 3.55%, and that's because of many reasons. One of them is the fact that the Bank of England raises their interest rates, or their funds rates, as it warns of a recession and 10% inflation. That's insane. The rise to 1% is the fourth successive increase and highest level since February 2009. So the Bank of England is not doing too well right now. They are warning of a recession and about maybe a 10% inflation rate. So the market did kind of panic over that. Also, worker output it fell 7.5% in the first quarter. However, this data is misleading. It's misleading because we had the variant of the virus around January of 2022, and a lot of people took some time off work. I'm sure you remember that. A lot of workers took a week off or 2 weeks off. So, of course, output would fall 7.5%. I think some analysts calculated if workers took like, I don't know, a week or 10 days off, it would cause output to drop by 8%. That is essentially what's happening, but the market is panicking over this. So, yeah, I can understand why people are concerned because this is often what's associated with the higher inflation rate, more costs, which are decreasing output. But it's not necessarily, how should I say this? It shouldn't cause you to just panic and throw your hands in the air and lose it because at the end of the day, the data has to actually account for the changes during the time. And that was because of what happened during the virus. And I do believe worker output wouldn't be this bad if it wasn't for that. So it's nothing to be super scared of or worried about, but it will have effects on the market, right? This did have an effect on the market. We saw the market respond very bearishly because of this. But the thing to remember is the SPY was at 405. What was that, like yesterday or like two or 3 days ago? The SPY was at 405, and right now we're at 413. So we are kind of close to that low, but we're not as low as before. So I do think there is room for a comeback. But the thing to remember is this right here: the SPY has this massive gap right here that would take the SPY up to 427. Okay, the SPY is going to make a nice comeback to the upside. As for NIO, check this out. Although NIO looks not in the best of position and downside could still continue a little bit going into tomorrow as it is a Friday, I want to look at this real quick. So going back here, let me take you all the way back a couple of months ago. Now, I would often reiterate the fact that there were these big gaps in NIO. Just look at this carefully. I know the lines are all over the place. Just watch this. The lowest gap we had, let me try to make this as big as possible so it's easy for you to see. Let's see. See this low gap right here? It's at $14.92. See this gap right where my cursor is? This is the lowest gap we had. Okay, right there, 1490. Was that 1494, 1492? What happened to NIO today? We ended up getting rug pulled down to 1487, filling the gap. And many people did not think we'd fill that gap. Many people thought I was crazy for thinking that. But for a play like NIO, one of the patterns that I'm noticing is that oftentimes these gaps end up getting filled. Are they always going to be filled? No, there could be a gap as low as like $2. Tesla could have gaps around 200. They're not always going to be filled. Tesla doesn't have to go to 200. NIO doesn't have to go to $1. It doesn't work that way. But many times when there are gaps that are, I don't know, coming at times that are not too far into the past, it's very possible for these gaps to get filled. In fact, it's very likely. So, with that said, what do you see right here? This is the simplest way for me to show you this. There's another major gap up at $18.14. Now, these gaps getting filled, sometimes it could take a few months. We saw this gap right here from the $13 range. It took like a month to a month and a half for us to fill it. But most of the time, gaps get filled within, I would say, a week or two. So from my point of view, and here's how I want to actually source this for you guys. When looking at NIO, considering we have a gap here and then the SPY also has this big gap right here, it's very possible the SPY ends up filling this gap within the next, I don't know, maybe I would say the next week or two, because we have CPI coming out early next week. So the market may be choppy for the next few trading days. But very soon, in my opinion, it's very possible, whether it's a week from now or 2 weeks from now, the SPY is most likely going to fill this gap. And if the SPY goes back to that 427 range, it's very possible NIO is going to push up with it once the time comes, because the news like this, eventually investors learn about the truth. They learn about the details, and it gets normalized, it gets priced in, so people are not as concerned as before. So once this settles, things should get a lot better. So where on earth is NIO going to go? In my previous video, I told you, remember these support levels I was talking about? I told you that if 1677 didn't hold, then we had 1641. We just crashed below both of those. Then we had 1569. We dropped below that. The next key support zone was around 1494, around there. We ended up getting a bounce at 1487. So I was very close. So it is possible for us to drop into the 14s, the low 14s. And we do have some support, I believe, at $14.16. But I do think that it's very possible for us to get a nice bounce off of that. And we should actually start to see some sideways, I would say maybe sideways action, and then I do anticipate a bit of a bullish run within, I would say, a week or two from now. I do expect us to fill this gap again. So my sentiment is still quite bullish for the market. I don't think the market is going to just be green every day. There are going to be many choppy moments, lots of sideways action here and there because of what's happening in the economy, lots of recession fears, and also CPI data coming out next week. But I do believe the market is set for a nice run, maybe for just the next few weeks, perhaps up until, I would say, the end of May, before we start to see more choppy price action. I'm still pretty bullish for the market. I still think the market's going to make a comeback, and I do see this gap getting filled, which is a very bullish catalyst. Now, something Kathy Wood mentioned, right? She mentioned the fact that in her view, history will deem the accelerated shift towards passive funds during the past 20 years as a massive misallocation of capital. And she's talking about the fact that a lot of people believe in these passive investments being very, very, very secure in a way. And I do agree with diversification and trying to mitigate your risk. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with going or investing a little bit more into really good companies out there that could actually accelerate growth, such as Tesla or NIO. In my opinion, that's just how she sees it. I agree with what she's trying to say. Elon Musk also agreed. And from the way I'm seeing it, things are doing quite well right over here. So for NIO, could be a little bit more downside. I think we're very close to the bottom. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing starts to run a little bit maybe tomorrow. And going into next week, CPI could cause some shaky price action, but I would not be surprised if NIO starts to slowly push back up to that 18 range within, I would say, the next week or two. So I'm still bullish. I'm not losing faith. And I do see NIO making a good comeback. Some technical indicators are obviously the RSI shows it's very, very oversold. Looking at the MACD, obviously red histogram. So we're not seeing the true signs of a reversal just yet. It's going to take a little bit of time, but once we get there, things are going to be fine. So don't worry. I'm not worried. I know NIO is going to come back. I'm very confident. Remain calm, cool, and collected. And just note, this company has immense potential based off its fundamentals, and we are not losing faith. Thank you. Have a great, great, great day, and I'll see you in the next one. NIO to the moon, and peace out.